Hello everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome. Let me get this off the screen. Oh my God, I totally forgot I put that on there. Totally forgot. Welcome to Live at 5. This is a stream that I do at 5 o'clock on the daily where I talk about what's going on in the world, things on my mind. It's Tuesday, and you will know what that means. That means it is Tarot Tuesday. So we're going to be talking about some higher level principles today and looking at least one tarot card, if not more. We also have some really very kind of practical stuff to talk about in terms of the DOJ doing exactly what the DOJ does, more nonsense when it comes to critical race theory and school boards and stuff like that. Possibly even our favorite gal, Hillary, throwing her hat into the ring for 2024. This has been hinted at for a little bit now. I've been talking about this for about maybe 2 or 3 weeks now. I don't even know. But we got a lot to cover on today's show. Welcome. Let's jump right into it now. You might be able to tell. I'm still a little under the weather. I'm still symptomatic. My throat is messed up to high flipping heaven. I'm wearing a hat. Anytime you guys see me wearing a hat is usually an indication that I'm not feeling my best. P.S. Also, in this case, that I really need an effing haircut, but I can't because I have COVID and I can't leave the house. And it's funny because, I normally don't even want to leave the house. And now that I have COVID, all I want to do is be able to leave the effing house. But we're making our way through it. Now, one of the benefits that you guys get, because I have COVID, I have decided to do a little special. And this is only good while I'm symptomatic. I'm on day 5 of being symptomatic with COVID. So who knows if I'm going to wake up tomorrow and continue to be symptomatic. But as long as I am symptomatic, that means you guys get the benefit of it. It means you can get a free month in my locals by signing up over at kb.locals.com/support using the promo code COVID. If you are watching on YouTube, I have pinned a helpful link to the top of the chat where if you jump right over, let me see, there it is. If you jump right over to my sign up page, it should automatically load the promo code, but just in case it doesn't, just type in COVID. You're going to be able to get a free month in my locals community. Locals is how I'm able to do what I do every day. It's the support that keeps me going, and also just the most amazing community on the internet. I say it all the time. I don't have the biggest community in locals, but I really do believe that I have the best community in locals, and that's part of the awesome supporters I have. I see some of them in the chat. We've got Dragon Water in the chat, Sins in the chat, Grandma Nays in the chat. So lots of people that are supporters of my locals community are here today. You guys can ask them all about it. And one of the great things that you get when Judy's in the chat as well. Of course, Judy. One of the things you get when you sign up as a supporter is you get access to our Zoom calls. Yesterday at 7 o'clock, we did our Monday Zoom call, which is just an open call to talk about whatever you want to talk about. It was an amazing call. We went for 3 hours. Everyone was on point. Piper Mom was even like, I don't even know if I want to speak up because everything that people are contributing is so great and amazing. And that's really what my local Zoom calls are like, guys. I don't do a lot of talking on the local Zoom calls. It's all the people in the community. We have amazing conversations, bounce ideas off each other, help each other out. These are some of the benefits that you get when you become a locals member, which you can get a free month of right now just because I have COVID. That's all. So I hope you consider doing that. Guys, Dragon Water wants to remind you to mount that like button. Thank you, Dragon Water. He says, get well soon, Carlin. Can Hillary just disappear, please? No, I don't think Hillary will disappear. I think we're going to have Hillary for 2024 because really, who else do the Democrats have? Who else do they have? Kamala? No, that's not going to work. Mayor Pete? Secretary Pete? I don't think that's going to work. Who else could it be? Well, I guess we'll see how it goes. Dragon Water also says, like when I am losing my voice and just can't shut myself up. Ha 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 ha. Well, we're going to talk about the voice today. We're going to talk about it when we get into our Tarot Tuesday section of the show today. But one more thing before we get started, guys, I just want to remind everyone that this will not be the only live stream I do today. It'll just be the first live stream I do, because I want to remind everyone that if you like Tarot Tuesday, you're really going to love Nothing Remotely Controversial, which is a show that I do with my friend Joshua the Psychic every Tuesday night at 9:30. Now, for my Locals members especially, there is a post in Locals right now where you can leave a reply, and we're going to have Joshua choose one of those replies at random to psychic a question. So normally on Nothing Remotely Controversial, you see we've already got a couple super chats that have come in. We've got for some questions that we're going to ask. Apparently Joshua is going to be psychicking how that guy whose name I can't pronounce, the tennis player, is going to do in the Australian Open. Where Nat D always has the most interesting questions for Nothing Remotely Controversial. But if you leave a reply on that post in Locals, Joshua might psychic your question without you even having to do a super chat. So how great is that? We're trying this out. The post is in Locals right now, and you can tune in at 9:30 tonight to watch Joshua and I will, God willing, still be awake. I will do my best to be there, but it's a really fun show. Even if you don't believe in the psychic stuff, I understand people not believing in the psychic stuff. I get it, man. But it's still really fun, and we have a great time with it. All right, now before we get into the good stuff, I want to talk about libertarian drama a little bit. Now, when I joined the Libertarian Party back in, when did I join the Libertarian Party officially? I think it was in April. It was April or May. It was something like that. People told me, they're like, Carlin, you think the GOP is messed up? Wait until you get a load of the libertarians and you see how messed up they are. And you're never going to want to stay a libertarian once you find out how messed up they are. Well, I have found out how messed up they are. It's more than you can ever possibly imagine. And yet still, I am all in. And one of the reasons that I'm all in is because a lot of the nonsense that's going on in the Libertarian Party is going to start to get fixed in May. That's when the national convention is. That's when the Mises Caucus is going to take over the party. I keep telling you guys there's a difference between the woke libertarians and the Mises Caucus. The Mises Caucus is like, unless something major happens, the Mises Caucus will take over the Libertarian Party in May at the national convention. And so a lot of the woke nonsense is going to start to get fixed. But I got to be honest, I love the drama. I love it. And last night, we got our latest piece of libertarian drama. It is the greatest soap opera that has ever played out. So essentially, this is from Michael Heiss, who is the chair and founder of the Mises Caucus. And it has to do with the Libertarian Party in Massachusetts. Check this out. So what's been happening as the inevitable takeover of the Libertarian Party kind of comes into focus, what's been happening is the old guard, the woke libertarians, are freaking out. And they're basically doing everything they can to try to prevent the Mises Caucus takeover. Now, they're not going to be successful, but man, they are going down kicking and screaming every step of the way, because it's not like they can't just recruit new people to the party. Like, you would think that if they wanted to be able to maintain control of the party, they would just try to recruit people over to their side. No, that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is engaging in shady politics, and it is amazing to watch this play out. George Andre Veloso Nunez says it starts at 23:30 in my time zone. What are you complaining about? Joshua's additional feedback is actually very good advice. Thank you, George. Yeah, Joshua gives great advice. Oh, dude, I was totally munching on popcorn last night. So check this out. Here's what happened last night. This took place in Massachusetts. So the Libertarian Party in Massachusetts, there were 47 members of the party who decided that they were not happy with the party's state leadership. And so they signed a petition to, I think, like hold a special convention, a special state convention, in order to vote in new leadership to the party. Well, the current leadership in the party was not happy about that. And last night, they held a secret meeting, didn't tell anyone, and then voted to expel all 47 people who signed the petition saying they wanted new state party leadership, including 2 members of their own executive committee. And as soon as they expelled 47 members of the party, because they were Mises Caucus usually affiliated, not all of them, but like the majority of them, as soon as they expelled those party members, the chair of the party resigned. And let me show you the chair of the party. Her name is Ashley Slade. She has turned her Twitter account private, but we can go to her. She is an elected libertarian city councilor. This is the chair, the now former chair of the Libertarian Party of Massachusetts, who just resigned after kicking out 47 members from the party because they wanted new leadership. I mean, it's like this is like the third time where shady stuff has happened in a state party. Now, the first one, of course, was the New Hampshire coup. I covered that on this channel because I was actually in the middle of it. Like, and I didn't get it as badly as a lot of people, but like I saw this unfolding before my very eyes. So in the state of New Hampshire, they tried to stage a coup to kick everyone out of the state party in New Hampshire because the Mises Caucus basically controls the state party and form a new one. That didn't work. They pulled shenanigans in Delaware, where there was this dude in Delaware that just basically up and kicked out 2,000 members from the party. And they're still trying to sort that out. And now we have this thing in Massachusetts where Ashley Slade and her cronies have kicked out 47 members of the party because they followed their state bylaws and wanted a new leadership team. And to add insult to injury, there is a member of the state party in Massachusetts that's on the payroll for the Libertarian National Party. I'm telling you guys, if I don't care if you're a libertarian or not, this is just good drama. This is just fun. You can't write stuff like this. You can't write you cannot write reality TV this good. And of course, reality TV a lot of the time is scripted. Please, come on. You can't write fictional TV that is this good. I'm just like going back and forth. It's amazing. So now there's going to be a whole battle over what happens in the state of Massachusetts with the party, and there's lots of contingencies that I don't want to get into on this stream. I'm just telling you guys that if you aren't paying attention to it, it is the best show in all of politics, and you really should start because it's entertaining as all hell. All right, let's see what's going on. Now, I touched on this yesterday. I didn't really talk a lot about this, but I touched on it yesterday, and now it has to do with something that's come up today. Shocking how that works. So Zero Hedge on Sunday reported this, and it kind of flew under the radar. So do you guys remember that the counterterrorism memo that Merrick Garland wrote, basically targeting parents in school board meetings and labeling them as domestic terrorists? Well, the National School Board Association, which is the organization that initially wrote the letter to the DOJ asking them to label parents as domestic terrorists, the National School Board Association withdrew that letter, right? But the DOJ never withdrew the memo. Merrick Garland never took back the memo in which he called parents domestic terrorists. Let's just read this from Zero Hedge. I didn't really read it yesterday, so this will be new for most people who weren't on the stream. In a quiet response to the Senate Judiciary Committee 3 days before Christmas, the Biden DOJ says it won't withdraw a controversial memo used to activate the FBI Counterterrorism Division to investigate parents voicing their opposition to a variety of topics, primarily mask and vaccine mandates and teaching critical race theory. This week, Senator Chuck Grassley from Iowa revealed the pre-Christmas response, stating, "In December, we asked why the FBI's Counterterrorism Division was getting involved in parents expressing their concerns at school board meetings. Now, just to be crystal clear, there's no excuse for real threats or acts of violence at school board meetings, but if there are such threats, these should be handled at the local level, and the Attorney General should withdraw his memo that started this whole thing." Well, a couple days before Christmas, the Justice Department responded to us with a one-page letter. In that letter, the DOJ had nothing to say about why the FBI's Counterterrorism Division was involved in local school board matters. DOJ just said, "We're not going to withdraw the memo." So the feds may be keeping track of school board meetings, even if that creates a horrible chilling effect. And of course, the FBI looking over your shoulder would have that chilling effect. Next week, the Judiciary Committee will hold a meeting on domestic terrorism. I hope we're going to be focusing on serious threats facing our country, and no one And I hope no one thinks this is a focus on the nation's parents. Well, guys, how much do you want to bet that I'm on some sort of FBI watch list, considering I got banned from school board meetings last week? I bet that definitely happened. But you know what's interesting about this? Couple things. Couple interesting updates on this. Well, the first interesting thing is this news today. Breaking news. Justice Department forms new domestic terrorism unit. Huh. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny that the DOJ refused to withdraw their memo calling parents at school board meetings domestic terrorists? And now, all of a sudden, breaking news, the Justice Department is forming an entirely new unit focused on domestic terrorism. This on CNN, the Justice Department is establishing a new domestic terrorism unit to combat the threat that has more than doubled in the past 2 years, the head of the agency's security division said on Tuesday. Assistant Attorney General Matthew Olson told members of the Senate Judiciary Committee that the newly formed unit will encompass a dedicated group of attorneys to focus on the domestic terrorism threat. The number of FBI investigations into domestic terrorism has more than doubled since March of 2020. We face an elevated threat from domestic violent extremists. That is, individuals in the United States who seek to commit violent criminal acts in furtherance of domestic and societal goals. Domestic violent extremists are often motivated by a mix of ideologies and personal grievances. We have seen a growing threat from those who are motivated by racial animus, as well as those who ascribe to extremist, anti-government, and anti-authority ideologies. We also remain vigilant to the persistent threat from international terrorist groups, particularly from Al-Qaeda and ISIS. How much do you want to bet? Let me ask you this. Let me ask this another way. What exactly do you think they mean when they say those extremists who abide by anti-government and anti-authority ideologies? What do you think they mean when they say that? There's no chance. There's no chance that the government, that the FBI and the DOJ could be forming a domestic terrorism unit to just keep track and, take care of all of us anti-authoritarian dissidents. Because when you're trying to instill an authoritarian regime, you probably need to take out the people who don't agree with authoritarianism. I'm sure it's just pure coincidence. I can't bring this up on the screen because it's not integrated into StreamYard, so I apologize for that. But Alexandra Martin, thank you so much for being a channel member for 10 months. Alexandra says, happy Tuesday, peeps. Have you mounted that like button? By the way, Dr. K, I'm loving Live at 5. I don't get to chat most days, but I'm always listening. Alexandra, thank you for your support. I greatly appreciate it. Guys, did you know that when you become a channel member on YouTube, once a month, you get like a free super chat? I hope StreamYard actually integrates them at some point so I can display them on the screen. I don't know why they don't, but I think that's a pretty rad feature myself. So, just FYI, everyone. Yeah, they're going to target libertarians. Oh, they're way going to target libertarians. But I think they're also going to I think they're going to keep targeting parents. I mean, what other reason would they have for not withdrawing that memo unless they were going to target parents or people like me that get banned from school board meetings? I decided last night I want to frame this. I'm going to frame my no trespass letter and hang it on the wall. I think that this is one of my crowning achievements. This might even be more important to me than the Coke Be Less White story. This might be more important, getting banned from school board meetings. I just think it's great. I think it's hilarious. But that's not all. That's not the only thing that happened. Well, look at this. This is because of what is it? Parents Defending Education, which normally do a really good job. They've been doing a lot of FOIA requests, and I really like this organization. I don't necessarily like some of their staffing choices as of late, but that's neither here nor there. I do like them as an organization. I think they're doing a great job with FOIA requests, and Parents Defending Ed have been on a streak of exposing that the Biden administration was 100% complicit in that original letter. They were 100% complicit, even solicited the initial letter from the National School Board Association that started this entire mess in the first place. Let's read this from Fox News. This just came out today. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona, excuse me, guys. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona solicited the much criticized letter from the National School Boards Association that compared protesting parents to domestic terrorists, according to an email exchange reviewed by Fox News. The email exchange indicates Cardona was more involved in the letter's creation than previously known. So here's what we did know up until this point, guys. We knew that I was the first one to break the news on this, by the way. I broke it on my Substack. We knew that when the National School Board Association issued this letter, they did not consult their own board of directors. It was a rogue move by the interim CEO of the organization, and maybe in cahoots with a couple of their board members, but they didn't consult their board of directors. We also knew that CEO had conversations with the Biden White House about that letter. We knew that letter was specifically sent so that the Biden administration could respond to it. They had their response prepared, and that response was Merrick Garland's DOJ memo that they are now refusing to withdraw. That was the response. They wanted to have a reason to send that letter. Now what we know is that it wasn't just a collusion between the interim CEO of the National School Boards Association and random staffers in the Biden administration. We now know that it was from the education secretary. It was from the education secretary himself that asked the National School Board Association to write a letter in which they labeled parents at school board meetings domestic terrorists. Directly from the top. President Biden's Department of Justice relied on the NSBA letter, which suggested using the Patriot Act against parents in creating its own memo directing the FBI to mobilize in support of local education officials. In the October 5th email, NSBA Secretary-Treasurer Christie recounted the NSBA interim CEO Chip told the officers he was writing a letter to provide information to the White House from a request by Secretary Cardona. So the education secretary reached out to the interim CEO and asked him to write the letter. Previous emails had revealed the NSBA was in contact with the White House and Justice Department in the weeks before he publicly sent the letter. The emails were obtained by the group Parents Defending Education in a Freedom of Information Act request. Should this allegation be true, it would reveal that this administration's pretextual war on parents came from the highest levels, says Parents Defending Education president. Attorney General Merrick Garland unequivocally stated that he had based his memo on the NSBA's letter, which in turn mobilized the FBI and U.S. attorneys. If Secretary Cardona was truly involved in this ugly episode, it is a significant breach of public trust, and he should be held accountable. A Department of Education spokesperson denied that Cardona solicited the NSBA letter, despite the email indicating he did. Well, the secretary did not solicit the letter from the NSBA. To understand the views and concerns of stakeholders, the department routinely engages with students, parents, teachers, district leaders, and educational associations, the spokesperson told Fox News Digital. Cardona previously served as Connecticut's education secretary, where it supported teachers becoming more woke and promoted resources on microaggressions. So, just more information there. I mean, we kind of already knew this to be the case. But they set this up, man. The Biden administration, I want to just put a really fine point on it. If you are a parent with children in public schools, the Biden administration is specifically targeting you because they do not believe that you should have a hand in what your children learn. The schools are set up to mold children to be servants to the state. That is the purpose of the public schools. They are government schools. They are government-run institutions. We don't like to think of them that way, but that is exactly what they are. The entire purpose of these schools is to mold citizens that will serve the needs of the state. When they're doing that, they are working as intended. Parents don't like to think of it like that, but that's what it is. Every time you send your little darlings to public school, you are turning them over to the state to be molded into tools that are useful for the state. That does not include you having a say in their education according to the people leading the process. We've talked a lot on this channel about how critical race theory has nothing to do with race. It has to do with power. This is all about power. That's all it is. It's creating an army of little woke indoctrinees that are going to do their bidding, headed by the education secretary himself, specifically in a plot to target any parents that might question what the schools are doing. They don't want you to know. Chris Rufo's current crusade is all about educational transparency. He's working very hard. I think his goal is to try to get 11 states to pass educational transparency measures. Educational transparency is basically when teachers have to put their materials online for parents to review. That's what Chris Rufo's working on now. Why would anyone fight teachers putting their education materials online? Why would anyone be opposed to public school teachers being required to put their educational materials online so that parents can see what their kids are learning? Why would anyone be opposed to that at all? It makes all the sense in the world. And yet, the White House is opposed to it. The Department of Education is opposed to it. Democrats are opposed to it. Teachers are opposed to it. Teachers' unions are opposed to it. Why don't they want you to see what your children are learning? Nick H. says they use the letter as an excuse to expand power. Everything they're doing all the time is nothing more than an excuse to expand power. But the Republicans maybe have found their balls. Maybe. We don't know for sure. This could just be blustering. Now, I've said a million times that if the Republicans retake the House and they don't impeach Joe Biden, they are no use. I'm sorry. Joe Biden should absolutely be impeached for how he handled Afghanistan. By the way, did you guys see that the Biden administration is giving Afghanistan like $300 million? I know I saw this today. Hang on. I'm going to look this up real quick. I know I saw this today. I want to bring up the tweet for this. I think I saw it from Breaking 911. Hang on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to bring this up. Do you guys know that they gave Afghanistan $300 million? There it is. Found it. Found it. Hang on. Not there. There we go. Breaking. Biden administration pledges $308 million in humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan. Gee. I'm sure none of that's going to go to the Taliban at all. How much money did we leave behind? How many, like, we left like billions of dollars behind, right? When we left in equipment and literal boxes of cash. And now we're sending $308 million to Afghanistan. I'm sure the Taliban's not going to get a red cent of that. Anyway, I digress. So I think that absolutely, if the Republicans take the House back, they should absolutely impeach Joe Biden for Afghanistan alone. Never mind that he hasn't handled the coronavirus crisis at all. Never mind that more people have died under Joe Biden's administration from COVID than died under Trump's. Never mind that gas prices have like doubled and that supermarket shelves are bare. Never mind any of that. There are 8,000 reasons why Joe Biden deserves to be impeached. And I don't even care. I do not care if he's going to get convicted in the Senate. I do not care. The Democrats knew that Trump wasn't going to get convicted when they impeached him twice over nonsense. Turnabout is fair play. So we haven't quite gotten to them committing to impeachment yet, but I have to give Kevin McCarthy some credit because he did come out and say today, or maybe yesterday, that if they win the House back, they will strip Democrats of committee slots, which again is a little tit for tat. But you know what? Republicans need to find their balls and they need to actually start fighting as though they are in a war. This is my biggest problem with conservatives. Conservatives got pissed off at me for going to a school board meeting and yelling out a statement of fact, which is, we know where you live. I didn't say I was going to go to their house. I didn't say I was going to do anything to them. I don't even know where they live. But that was too much for some conservatives. They're like, no, we can't play that game. Why not? Well, you guys are refusing to play hardball. The Democrats are indoctrinating your children into a cult, essentially. But you can have the moral high ground of not playing hardball with them and not engaging in psychological warfare. I feel the same way about this whole stripping of committees thing. Find your balls. Fight back. Take a stand. One of the things I loved about January 6th, being there on the Capitol lawn, not in the building, is that I saw for the first time since I left the left, what I saw for the first time was that Republicans were finally standing up for themselves. And then they all went away like scared little children afterwards. They were like, oh, no, don't hurt us, Democrats, don't hurt us. No, that's not how you win a war. You don't win a war by cowering in a corner. You win a war by fighting back. Dragonwater says conservatives need to find their authenticity and responsibility. That's exactly right. So let's see what Kevin McCarthy said. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said in an interview published Monday that he would move to prevent a number of prominent Democrats from serving on committees if Republicans win the House in this year's midterms. McCarthy singled out Reps Ilhan Omar, Adam Schiff, and Eric Swalwell, lawmakers he previously identified as potential targets. McCarthy had previously threatened to retaliate against Democrats for their votes in the last year to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar from committees for invoking political violence in their rhetoric. It's as though the First Amendment doesn't exist. Invoking political violence in their rhetoric, please. But in a Breitbart interview published on Monday, McCarthy was more declarative that the Republicans would not let those members serve on committees if they take control in the House. Never in the history of Congress have you had the majority tell the minority who can be on committee. But this new standard, which the Democrats have voted for, if Eric Swalwell cannot get a security clearance in the private sector, there is no reason why he should be given one on Intel or Homeland Security. He will not be serving there, McCarthy said. Good. Eric Swalwell slept with a Chinese spy. He slept with a Chinese spy. He should not be on the House Intel Committee. This is just common sense. Ilhan Omar should not be serving on foreign affairs, McCarthy added. This is a new level of what the Democrats have done. Ilhan Omar married her own brother. I have COVID brain. I'm just going to say whatever I think. McCarthy had previously singled out Representative Maxine Waters as a Democrat Republicans might prevent from serving on committees, but she was not mentioned in the interview published on Monday. However, McCarthy confirmed that he would still act to prevent Schiff and Swalwell from serving on the House Intelligence Committee, as well as Ilhan Omar from the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I think I agree with this. I'm sorry. If you aren't going to fight fire with fire, then I don't know what you're doing. Then we're just dicking around. I am so... Is anyone so... Maybe it's just because I'm sick. I don't know. But is anyone else a little tired of Republicans bloviating all the time about the things that they would do if they had any power at all and then not doing anything. I'm a person, I like action, man. I don't mind people bloviating as long as they follow it up with actual action. But Republicans don't do that. They talk about what they should be doing. Which tells you that they know exactly what they should be doing. It's not like they have no awareness of this. They know the right things to say, and therefore they know the things that they should be doing. And then when it comes time to do it, they're like, we can't do that. We have to take the high road. All this stuff. You are not going to win if you don't fight back. It is okay to be an unreasonable person when you are fighting a war with unreasonable people. I know that people want to feel proud of their actions. They want to feel like they took the high road. They want to feel like they acted honorably, and I get all those things. But the fact of the matter is that when you are always more focused on doing what the theoretical right thing is, you will be taken advantage of every single time. You sometimes need to act like an unreasonable person when you are in unreasonable circumstances. Your actions when you are working with a reasonable person are not the same as when you are working with someone who wants to destroy you. And I don't care if it makes you uncomfortable. The reason that it makes you uncomfortable is that it is doing something differently from the way that you've done it before. That is the very act of pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. When people talk about being pushed outside their comfort zone, they forget that that will inherently make them feel uncomfortable. Being pushed outside your comfort zone just means you're doing something in a different way than you've ever done it before. When we are learning new tricks, when we are learning new habits, when we are building new skills, when we are learning to ride a bike for the first time, or drive a car, or doing any of these things, these will be inherently uncomfortable because we haven't done them before. And it is the same thing with the Republicans fighting back. If the Republicans are so used to being these whipping boys and these perpetual victims and perpetual losers, they are not going to be used to what it feels like to fight back. Therefore, it is going to feel uncomfortable. Just because it feels uncomfortable is not a reason not to do something. It's a reason to lean into it and keep going until you get to the other side. Got some super chats. JAEUFM. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. If you fight back and lose, that is one thing. But if you refuse to fight back to begin with, you are already defeated. That is beautifully written. I am very forgiving of people who choose to take a stand and lose. I am not at all forgiving of people who refuse to take a stand in the first place, or people who talk about taking a stand and go on Fox News and talk about taking a stand and go on Twitter and talk about taking a stand. And then when it comes time to actually take the stand and do the thing, you don't do shit. You just complain. Those people do not get my sympathy at all. And they especially don't get my sympathy when they come up with a laundry list of reasons about why they couldn't do it. There are a lot of cowards on Twitter, man. There are a lot of cowards with blue checks after their name that know these things are wrong, that know what's going to happen, that know what the logical end result of this cultural revolution is, and they are still sitting back and tweeting all day as though that does a dang thing. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't. Dragonwater said, what I am tired of is conservatives complaining about what the Democrats are doing when they have done the same damn thing. Oh, I'm tired of that too, Dragonwater. But in this case, I actually want them to do the same thing. In this case, I want the Republicans to impeach Joe Biden. I want the Republicans to strip committee assignments from people like Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell. Absolutely. This is a no-brainer. This is the easiest decision that they've ever made. And I truly hope they go through with it. All right, everyone, just as a reminder, you are watching Live at 5. This is a show that I do daily, except for Saturdays. Excuse me, coughing, COVID cough. I do this on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on my main channel. On Sundays, we do effed up news at 5 p.m. It's a nice little, it's the more fun stories from the news to kind of round out the weekend. We do kind of normal stream Monday through Thursday. Then on Fridays, we go to my second channel, which is Actively Unwoke. And we do happy hour on Fridays over there. If you're not subscribed to happy hour or actively unwoke, rather, the link is in the description. Whether you are watching on YouTube or maybe Odyssey or maybe even Rockfin, you can subscribe to my second channel, Actively Unwoke. Thank you, the capitalist pig over on Odyssey, for, I don't know what Odyssey super chats are called. Politics is war by other means. Yes. Thank you for the support, my friend. I greatly, greatly appreciate the tip. All right, guys. Well, this is Tarot Tuesday. Let me get this off the screen. This is Tarot Tuesday. And because it's Tarot Tuesday, we're going to talk about tarot cards in a second, or at least one tarot card we're going to talk about. But before we get into that, I want to talk about Hillary for a second. I want to talk about her for a second because Hillary allegedly looks like she might be running again. Now, how many people would like to see Hillary Clinton run for president again? How many people would like to see it? Let's do a poll in the chat. Let's do a poll on YouTube. What do you want Hillary to run? Yes, no. All right, lock in your votes there, kids, for if you want Hillary to run for president. But this came out, I mean, Hillary's been kind of like peeking her head up. It's actually been kind of funny to watch, right? Because she's been she's been tiptoeing out. She's got a new hairstyle. She's cleaned herself up. She doesn't look as frumpy as she maybe looked not too long ago. And a lot of people, she's got a master class where she read her speech that she would have given if she had won. And it was all very moving and all this stuff. So Hillary might be making a comeback. Let's see this op-ed that appeared in the Wall Street Journal today. Hillary Clinton's 2024 election comeback. A perfect storm in the Democratic Party is making a once unfathomable scenario possible. A political comeback for Hillary Clinton. Several circumstances. Biden's low approval ratings, doubts over his capability to run for re-election at 82, Vice President Kamala Harris's unpopularity, who could have seen that coming, and the absence of another strong Democrat to lead the ticket in 2024 have created a leadership vacuum in the party, which Ms. Clinton could viably fill. She is already in an advantageous position to become the 2024 Democratic nominee. She is an experienced national figure who is younger than Biden. Everyone is younger than Biden. And can offer a different approach from the disorganized and unpopular one the party is currently taking. If Democrats lose control of Congress in 2022, Mrs. Clinton can use the party's loss as a basis to run for president again, enabling her to claim the title of change candidate. Yes, guys, because Hillary is the change that we all need. Based on her latest public statements, it's clear that Mrs. Clinton not only recognizes her position as a potential frontrunner, but is also setting up a process to help her decide whether or not to run for president again. She recently warned of the electoral consequences in the 2022 midterms if the Democratic Party continues to align itself with the progressive wing and urged the Democrats to reject far-left positions that isolate key segments of the electorate. Now, isn't this interesting? Because one of the things that I have actually really enjoyed from watching the left control everything is that they're eating themselves, right? The progressives are not happy. They are not happy at all. And now Hillary's coming in and saying, ignore the progressive wing of the party. Don't mind those crazy people over there. Listen, I know that none of us like the progressive left. But Hillary is far more dangerous than most of those people. Let's just be honest. Her agenda is far more terrifying to me. In a recent MSNBC interview, Mrs. Clinton called on Democrats to engage in careful thinking about what wins elections. Not just in deep blue districts where a Democrat and a liberal Democrat, or so-called progressive Democrat, is going to win. She also noted that the party's House majority comes from people who win in much more difficult districts. Mrs. Clinton also took a veiled jab at the Biden administration and congressional Democrats in an effort to create distance. It means nothing if we don't have a Congress that will get things done, and we don't have a White House that we can count on to be sane and sober and stable and productive. Even Bill Clinton recently set the stage for his wife's potential 2024 candidacy, referring to her in an interview with People magazine as the most qualified person to run for office in my lifetime, including me, adding that not electing her in 2016 was one of the most profound mistakes we could ever make. Well, Bill avoided his beating for that evening anyway. We can infer based on the recent remarks that Mrs. Clinton would seize the opportunity to run for president again if an opening presents itself. But what are the odds that that opportunity will rise? The Democrats' domestic agenda is in disarray given the failure of Mr. Biden's Build Back Better plan in Congress. Senate Democrats' latest desperate push to repeal the legislative filibuster to pass their secondary legislative priority, voting rights reform, will likely weaken their agenda further. And by the way, guys, they ain't getting rid of that filibuster. They ain't getting rid of it. That's not going to go anywhere. It's not just Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin is basically running cover for a lot of Democratic senators that are in harder districts than he's in. Excuse my drinking. COVID throat. I just want to be able to blame everything on COVID forever. If I say anything stupid on Twitter that gets me canceled, be like, COVID brain, sorry. I know that won't actually work, but I'm going to try my very best to use it as an excuse. Mr. Biden's overall approval rating is low, 40%, as is his rating on issues including the economy and jobs, 38%, and taxes and government spending, 33%, according to a recent Economist YouGov poll. Nearly two-thirds of independent voters disapprove of the president. Barring a major course correction, we can anticipate that some Democrats will lose important House and Senate seats in 2022, in part for the reason that Mrs. Clinton identified. Polls generally show the GOP have a solid lead with at least 2 or 3 points in most congressional districts. Mrs. Clinton can also spend time between now and midterms doing what the Clinton administration did after the Democrats' blowout defeat in the 94 midterms, crafting a moderate agenda on both domestic and foreign policy. The agenda could show that Mrs. Clinton is the only credible alternative to Mr. Biden, Miss Harris, and the entire Democratic Party establishment. Why is Kamala Harris Miss and Hillary is Mrs.? Because Kamala's married. It's not like she's not married. I don't understand that. Whatever, doesn't matter. Hillary Clinton remains ambitious, outspoken, and convinced that if not for the Federal Bureau of Investigation Director James Comey's intervention and Russian interference, that she would have won the 2016 election, and she may be right. If Democrats want a fighting chance at winning the presidency in 2024, Mrs. Clinton is likely their best option. George Andre Veloso Nunez says, is Bill Clinton in the luminal order? That literally made me laugh. That authentically made me laugh, George. I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, let's see. It looks like 66% of you do not want Hillary to run again. I mean, come on, guys. Can we just please talk about the entertainment value of it all? Can we please appreciate the possible entertainment value of all of this? It's the only reason I'm paying attention anymore. This is the best show in the world. Oh, just dropped my phone. This is the best show in the world. We should all enjoy these little gifts that we've been given. Dragonwater said, you mean crying like a baby like Hillary did after she lost in 2016. And Sin said, someone should ask Mrs. Clinton about Epstein. Well, indeed they should. All right, guys. So that's what I've got for that. Now let's get into Tarot Tuesday. Who's ready for Tarot Tuesday? Now, for this one, we're not just going to talk about tarot. So when we do Tarot Tuesday, we talk about life themes, and I try to give sage advice. And I've been getting this question a lot lately. I got it in my local Zoom yesterday, and I got this YouTube comment last week, not even last week, the other day, from Tom J. Tom J said, can you help me with side hustle ideas? Better yet, what hustles like Uber, what we can do for passive income? And I wanted to talk about this because this is a question that is similar to a question I received in my locals community Zoom yesterday, which is, how do you find your passion? How do you know what your passion and your purpose is in life? How do you find your life purpose? That is very similar to doing like a side hustle. Like a side hustle, you can do something like Uber Eats or something, or just Uber or Lyft or whatever for a side hustle. That's fine. But when I say side hustle, what I mean is that you start to build a business, a way to make money, a way to make income that is not reliant on any one employer. And there are a million ways that you can do that. So I built my side hustle, which is my organizational psychology practice. I built that while I was working full time and frankly finishing my dissertation. So I like there's time is not an excuse for any of this stuff. And I think that it is really, really important for every person now more than ever. I built my side hustle 10 years ago. Okay. Now more than ever, it is extremely important for people to have other sources of income. And it's not just about money, it's also about building up a life in which you can do things that make you happy. Is there any better way to go through life than to be able to make money and support yourself and pay your bills by doing things that you would do if you could do them for free? By doing things that just feed your soul, by doing things that make you want to show up in the world every single day. Dragonwater says, is there a way to keep the tower card away in Joshua's readings? Well, it's funny you say that because I actually do. The tower card was on the top of my deck. That's not a good card right there. And so the advice I give to people that want to find their purpose or create a side hustle is the very first thing you need to do is you need to figure out what you're passionate about. What would you spend all your time doing if you could do anything in the world and make money from it? Because the fact of the matter is that you can make money doing almost anything. You really can. Now, some things are easier to make money with than others, but that doesn't mean you can't make money doing something. So the first thing you need to do if you want to try to find your purpose is that you need to just look inside yourself and say, what makes me happy? What do I feel good doing? What would I do every single day, even if I wasn't getting paid for it? What would I do if I was independently wealthy and I could spend my time doing whatever I wanted to do? What would I do then? And chances are, to be quite frank, you already know what that thing is. Chances are you already have some understanding of what you could do if you could do anything. And then once you have that thing, you have to start to work back. Okay. So building a business is a matter of taking it an inch at a time. The first thing you want to do if you're looking for your purpose or your passion and you're trying to build a business or a side hustle out of it is that you need to identify ways in which you can make money doing the thing that you love to do. I guarantee you that there is someone in the world who has made money doing what you want to do. Your first step is you got to find that person. Find those people who have already been able to build successful businesses. Are they, I know a guy, I write about this in my first book. I know a guy who went from working in the corporate world to being a window washer. He had a perfectly respectable job in the corporate world, and then he became a window washer. And he became a window washer because he liked being outside. He liked rappelling down tall buildings. He didn't like getting dressed up in a suit and tie every day and going to work. He wanted to do something that was different. Now, didn't make a whole ton of money as a window washer, but, made enough. And then he actually ended up starting his own window washing business. So that takes him to the next level there. Yeah, I mean, listen, James Lindsay makes money literally fighting the woke. James Lindsay figured out a way to make money reading academic literature to everyone and interpreting it. You can make money doing anything. You really can. Fish Addict 2 says, I just asked the cards about Carlin and her COVID and drew the 9 of Swords. Well, let me pull up the 9 of Swords. Oh, Fish Addict. That's pretty dead on, actually. Let me pull up the 9 of Swords real quick. It's going to be in the back of the deck. I'm going to show people what you're talking about. And it's funny you bring that up because I was actually thinking about doing this card today. But that is exactly the reason I have effing COVID. I'm going to tell you why. when I get the card. It's going to be at the back of the deck. I know it. It's going to be the very last card. 9 of Swords. There it is. 9 of Swords is a card where someone's sitting up in bed and they look like they're in anguish. They look like they just woke up from a nightmare. They're experiencing mental pain, mental anguish. I think I got COVID because I'm fucking pissed off. I'm pissed off at many things. I'm trying not to bring it into my work, but I got pissed. I got really, really pissed off at that group of trolling bullies that I have to deal with all day, every day. And particularly the person who's running around lying to my community members and showing them information out of context to try to turn them against me. I got really effing pissed. And so I got sick because what goes on in our head when we have days that are like this, hang on, I'll bring myself big like this. When we have days that are like this, when we get angry and we hold on to that anger, guys, what goes on in our head feeds into our body. Yeah, that's what it means. Holy shit, I don't believe in this tarot BS, and that's what it means. That's what it means. I 100% believe you pulled that card for a reason, man. I had this conversation with Joshua yesterday. I think that I got sick because I was pissed. And the only reason I'm going to get better is if I stop being pissed. And so I'm working on that. I'm working on forgiving people that did me dirty after I supported them. But whatever. We're not going to talk about that right now. What we're going to talk about is this. Actually, it's actually kind of similar to this though. So you find you figure out what you're passionate about. You figure out what makes you feel good. You figure out what you want to go after. You find other people who have monetized that thing before. You see how they did it. And then you slowly start to build. See, the thing about side hustles is that people think that they need to have a whole big business is going to appear overnight. That's not going to work. That's not how it works, especially not when you're doing it on the side. Right? You build it in little pieces. Figure out one thing you can do to monetize what you're passionate about. Just one thing. It doesn't need to be a lot of money. We're not talking about like you're not at the point yet where you're like, I'm going to replace my entire income. No. Just bring in a little bit of money. Can you teach people how to do the thing you love? If you're a knitter, let's say, can you teach people how to knit? How much can you charge for that? Can you start organizing some classes? Can you sell yarn? Can you bring in income that way? What are some other things that you guys might want to do? Put some ideas in the chat. Let's do a little bit of a brainstorm. Like you can, if you love dogs, can you be a dog walker? Can you make money that way? If you love books, can you put together groups that maybe people chip it, create your own locals that's all about books and people pay $5 to join your locals every month and you organize group discussions about books and you make people feel welcome and you run the community and stuff like that, and that's why people pay the $5. You can start a YouTube channel. You can make money that way. Writing children's books. Awesome Human wants to write children's books. Well, guess what? Like just start writing. Just start. The big thing with books is you just need to, like, if you want to write a book, just start writing a book. Start building a platform, just start writing on the internet. Maybe you don't bring in money right away for that writing, but just start writing, just start building a platform, because when publishers are looking for books to publish, they're going to look at your platform. But there's so many publishers out there, you can get books published. Fitness. Can you train people? Can you get a training certification? Can you take on clients? Can you help become a coach? Can you be a coach? Can you motivate people? Can you teach people how to do what you know how to do? Like coaching, oh my God, you can make so much money from coaching. Coaching is incredibly lucrative when you get into it. A lot of people think it's a scam, and there are scam coaches out there, that's for sure. But there are also a lot of really effective coaches out there. Global politics, just start writing about global politics start a Substack, man. Start a Substack. Just start putting your thoughts out there on the internet. Make a little bit at a time, maybe $5 a month for people who want to support your Substack. There's so much stuff you can do. Yeah, have local artisans. You can have having local artisans make your merch, get a coffee roaster line up. Yeah. Allow yourself to brainstorm with different ways you can make money. Dream analysis. You can help people interpret their dreams. Sid, I get questions about dreams all the time. And I'm like, I don't do dream analysis. I don't even remember my dreams on like most nights. I don't even remember my dreams. So I don't do that, but I'd love to refer them to you. And so don't start restricting yourself when you're trying to come up with ways to monetize your passion. Just throw stuff out there and start to make a little bit of money. And then once you start to make a little bit of money, you start to make more. When I first started my business, my consulting business started so haphazardly. It basically started with me writing on the internet, and then people would email me things and they'd be like, Carlin, do you do this sort of work? And I would say, yes, I do, even though I had no effing idea what I was doing, but I figured it out. You just have to do it. Figuring out how to do it is figuring out what to do is the easiest thing. The hardest thing is putting yourself out there to do it. The hardest thing is getting started. Okay? And it's the getting started that holds most people back because, and this is going to get into Tarot Tuesday now. I'm going to go big again. Because oftentimes when people are hesitant to follow their dreams, it has to do with being like this card right here. People will put all sorts of obstacles in their own way when they don't want to follow their dreams. What do you think this card means? I know some of my locals members know the answer to this. What do you think this card means? What's going on in this card? We got some people walking through the snow. They're looking rather destitute. This is a card about self-worth. Okay? This is a card about lack. This is a card about, it's not precisely fear of failure. There's actually a different card that's fear of failure. Maybe we'll look at that. This is the card that's going to prevent people from getting started. Fear of failure tends to come later in the process. Let me see if I can find the fear of failure card real quick. It won't be real quick because it'll be at the back of the deck. But we're going to find it anyway. Oh, no, it wasn't. It's the front of the deck. This is the fear of failure card. This is the fear of failure card because this guy's already got his garden planted. Anytime you see pentacles, that's about like earthly things. This guy's got his garden planted, and this guy's looking at his garden, and he's done all this work, and he's done all this prep, and he's like, is the garden going to grow? All he has to do is leave it alone. He doesn't have to do anything else. But he's afraid the garden's not going to grow. And he's worrying about the garden not growing. Now, the garden's going to grow. It's going to be fine. But that's the fear of failure card. So, but this is the card that I think of when I think of people just like not following their passion. And the reason I like this card for that is because look at what we see here. We see two people. It's a little bit blurry. Let me see if I can get the camera to focus on them. Focus. Focus. Sorry if that felt like I just hit you. It's not focusing. Dang it. Okay, whatever. You guys can kind of see. So we got two people. Oh, there it goes. Two people that are walking through the snow, but what are they doing? They're walking by a church. There's a refuge they can go in. This is about making choices to take care of yourself. This is about making choices to see yourself as a valuable person in the world. This is about making choices to do what is necessary to feel good. These people feel really shitty because they're out in the snow, walking in the cold. They could go into the church at any moment. They're literally walking by the church. They could go in. It's right there. We don't even know if they see it. But they can make that choice. And it's in knowing that you have a choice. You always have a choice. You always have a choice to pursue your dreams. You always have a choice to try something new. You always have a choice to do things differently. Let's read a proper, actually, not that. I need to share my screen again. Hang on. Different screen. Let's read a proper interpretation of this card by a professional. That is not me. We're looking up Biddy Tarot, which I think is actually, I think she does a really good job, actually. So the Five of Pentacles is a card of financial loss and poverty. They hit hard times, especially when it comes to work, career, finances, material possessions. You may have recently lost your job, your home, your financial security. You no longer feel safe. It has been stripped away. In times of need, the Five of Pentacles indicates that you feel isolated and alone. Just like the two people in the card, you feel as though you've been left out in the cold. You may wonder, why is no one coming to help me? It may appear as if no one cares. However, since the windows in the church are lit up, help is nearby. But you're too focused on your own problems to notice. You may be waiting for someone to come and help you when really you need to be proactive and ask for help. You need to swallow your pride and let go of your fear of rejection and reach out. People are here to support you. Find them and let them know you need them. Dragon Water says, never tell yourself you don't have a choice or someone forced you to do something. That is exactly correct, Dragon Water. If we're talking about these guys right here, no one is forcing them to stay outside. The help is there. And when you're talking about launching a side hustle or pursuing your purpose in that way, you have to know there are absolutely people who will support you. There are always people who will support you. And sometimes it'll come from the weirdest places. But you have to ask for that. You have to put yourself out there. I know for me, when I started my side hustle and and this was before all this YouTube stuff, I've gotten way more used to it since then. But like back in the day, Joshua used to have to yell at me to do basic sales. He really did. He was like, Carlin, you're never going to make sales if you don't reach out and tell people what you do. I was like, that's probably true, but I don't want to. I hate doing sales and pitching things to this day. I hate it. I hate it more than I can tell you. If one of the reasons that you're not following your passion is that you hate doing sales, you are in good company. No one likes sales. Right? But the act of reaching out to people, even if it's strangers, to say, I'm doing this thing and I think it's valuable. Do you want to buy the thing I'm selling? That's putting yourself out there. That's asking for help. That's showing your value to the world. These people do not think that they have value. The reason they're not going into the church is because they do not believe that they are worthy of help. You have to allow yourself to believe that what you're offering is good. And you know that if someone else has monetized in the same way before, you know there's an audience for it. You know there's a market for it. And you're going to get told no. You will get told no, but sometimes you're going to get told yes. There is not any sort of business in the world that gets told yes 100% of the time. Just doesn't work that way. Lisa watched your debate with Shu. Oh my God, that was so old. Curious to know if, as a libertarian, you support UBI. I like entrepreneurship, but still need people to farm food, build houses, fix teeth, cut hair, etc. I have mixed feelings about this. I think I used to support it more than I do now. And I supported it. I liked the idea of it because I do think it would, I thought it would facilitate entrepreneurship. But when we went through COVID and people were getting enhanced unemployment benefits for months on end, and then they didn't do anything, they didn't create businesses, they didn't do anything with their extra time, I was like, maybe I don't so much support it anymore because I like the idea of it. I just don't think it worked out well in practice. Because I mean, that's how I view those enhanced unemployment benefits, right? It was kind of a little bit like a UBI. So I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. I don't know if my position changed. I'm sure it changed since then because it's been so long. But so if you're going to start your side hustle, you need to make sure that you know that you are worth it. Let's continue reading this article. At times, the Five of Pentacles highlights a lack mindset. You are sabotaging your ability to create abundance because you only focus on what you lack. Oh, this is so important. All you can see, spam call. All you can see is what is going wrong. To shift this energy, look at the evidence of what you do have, even if it's a very small or seemingly insignificant, and express your gratitude for the blessings in life. Over time, the positive aspects will continue to grow, and soon lack and not having will be a thing of the past. So we talked about the Nine of Swords and me getting sick because I'm pissed off at horrible, horrible people. I've been focusing on lack. I'm guilty of this, man. I am a human being. I am a human being just like you guys. And I've been focusing on lack because I've been pissed off. And I know this. And so one of the things I'm working on doing is making sure I'm focusing on my community and people who like me and want to be around me and want to learn from me and stuff like that. And that's where I'm trying to put my focus. But I think when you're trying to start a side hustle or finding your purpose, you have to do the same thing because it is extremely easy to focus on all of the problems that you have, on everything that could go wrong, on things that don't work out. But the more you focus on things that don't work out, the less you're going to see that the church is literally right there and you can literally go inside it. I might be pissed at people who are untrustworthy and disingenuous assholes, but if I'm only focusing on the untrustworthy and disingenuous assholes, I'm existing here out in the snow, and I might not even see that I'm walking by the church. I might not even see that I have this amazing community on Locals with people who like me, that I do have so many people who support me. Why would I want to focus on people who hate me when I could be focusing on people who love me? And the same is true when you're building a business. Why would you want to focus in on all the people who tell you, no, it won't work. You'll never be successful. That's so stupid. Why would you do that? Instead, focus in on the people who are like, that's really cool. And how can I help you out? Or I want to support you. I want to help you. I want to connect you with clients. You are the only one. You are the only one who can control where you put your energy and attention. And I know sometimes it's human nature to focus on the bad, but we all have to be our own best coach in this respect. What Joshua says is he's like, do not allow yourself the luxury of a negative thought. Joshua gave me a stern talking to yesterday. He was like, Carlin, this is enough. Do not allow yourself the luxury of a negative thought. You do not have that luxury anymore. This is why I pay him to stick around. So don't allow yourself that. Just if you find yourself going down that road, if you're trying to launch your business, just go, no. I have everything I need. Everything that you have ever done in your life has given you the knowledge that you need to be successful in starting your side hustle or in finding your purpose or in doing your thing. Every single thing you have ever done has given you that knowledge. When I first started my business, listen, my career has been weird, right? Because I did marketing for a long time. I did marketing in colleges. I even like back in the day when I was like 16, I learned how to build websites. Do you know what I was doing today? What I spent a lot of my day doing was finishing up my website for my book. I'm literally building a flipping website right now, a skill that I learned when I was 16 years old and I've kind of come up with, even though like most people who write books don't know how to build websites. Most people who write books and do this sort of stuff, they don't have any marketing background. I know how to build websites. I know how to do marketing. I understand psychology. I understand design. I can make things look pretty. All of those things led me and are contributing to me being successful in what I'm doing now. What skill sets do you have that you have developed over the course of your life that you can utilize to help you be successful in what you want to do? Make a list. Actually make a physical list of the skills that you can bring to the table, because you probably have so much that you can do to help set yourself up for success. Don't leave a single thing off. You know, take advantage of every gift that you have been given in your life to help you succeed in whatever you want to do. That's why we live life to begin with. Life is about experience. It's about making sure that we can be successful in doing things that make us happy. Michael says, Carlin, be like a proper soccer commentator on UBI. Nice idea. Shame about the execution. I would have to have an accent if I did that. Hope COVID didn't hit too hard. It's okay, man. It's just a cold. I'm going to be fine. I'm still kicking. Tiggs, thank you for becoming a member on the channel. I appreciate it. Let's finish this up. Similarly, the Five of Pentacles suggests that you fear you don't have enough or you may lose something important to you, even if it hasn't happened yet or it is unlikely. Oh, so this is also a card about fear then, which is important. Let's talk about that in a sec. For example, you may live in fear that you will lose your job and you will be left in the streets with no home or support. If you stay focused on all the negative things that might happen, then be careful because your manifesting powers may start to create the outcomes that you don't want. Instead, redirect your attention to what you have now and what you want in the future so your manifesting powers are used for good. So, this is important because when you're starting a side hustle, again, you don't want to make the assumption that your side hustle is going to manifest into a full business overnight. I think for mine, I didn't go full time with my business until like 4 or 5 years into it. So I was making money, but I wasn't making enough for it to be a full-time job. Now, when I got fired from the public radio station, and I've told this story before, I orchestrated my own firing from a public radio station because I was miserable, and I promised my husband I wouldn't quit. If you go back and look at my 100,000 subscriber stream, I tell the full story. It's a great fucking story. It's a really good story. But I orchestrated my own firing. And I did that knowing that I wasn't gonna get a new job. I did that knowing that I was gonna go full time with my business. And I had been working for months to build my business up to the capacity in which I knew I would make enough to survive. And that's an important thing you need to consider when you're doing a side hustle because you need to kind of figure out what how much money do I need coming in on a monthly basis to survive? How much business do I need to have booked in order to like meet my basic needs? You need to do some math, pull out a calculator, do some math. I had done that. I created a plan. But the minute I got fired from that job and I came home, Victor was in the kitchen. I walked in. I said, "Victor, I have some news. Some might consider this to be a bad thing. I do not. I've been fired from my job and I'm not going to get another job and I'm going to do my business full time and that's just going to be what it is." And my husband, because he's the best guy in the world, said, "Okay, we're going to make it work." And I remember saying to him that night, we were sitting on the couch and I said, I know that every single person who has embarked on a side hustle or has embarked on a business has been afraid. Every single person who ever found themselves in that position of creating their own business has been afraid that it wouldn't work. And use that to if you feel afraid, you're like, "I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if I can pull it off." Congratulations. You are like every single person who has been down that road before you. Know that. Lean into it. If you're being afraid is not the reason not to do something. It's just an acknowledgement that you're a human being and you might have doubts about yourself, and that's okay. But make sure you're doing everything you can to focus on what you want, to focus on your goals, to focus on what you need to do to be successful, to focus on the outcomes that you desire. Because if you're focused on all the things that could cause you to fail, you make them more likely to happen. And then you're going to be out in the snow like these guys. And we don't want to be out in the snow. We want to be in the church. We want to be in the church where it's warm and we have a cup of coffee and we feel good and we've got a nice warm blanket, not walking through the snow. But no one can do that for you. If you have a bad attitude and you're not focused on the right things and you're focusing on every single thing that could go wrong and every single person that did you dirty and all these things, no one can change your mindset except you. You have to have the will to succeed that is greater than your inclination to be afraid. Whatever you want more will happen. If you want to be afraid more than you want to be successful, then you're probably not going to be successful because your willpower is focused on being afraid. But if you want to be successful more than you want to be afraid, then you're going to have a much greater likelihood of being successful. I was paid for a story I submitted first time ever. Oh, congratulations. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. You got paid for a story you submitted. How amazing is that? You know what you should do? You should frame that check. Frame that check. Put it on the wall. So, guys, that's my thoughts about finding your purpose or your passion and creating a side hustle out of it. Is that you need to just figure out what makes you happy. You need to figure out what makes you feel good. Figure out a way to monetize that thing, and then just go for it. But just start with baby steps. Just take one small step at a time. And then once you got that mastered, take another step. And then when you got that mastered, take another step, and just start to build systems and processes that can help you make more money and bring in more clients and serve more people. And if you focus on the service, what you're giving to the world, if you focus on the service aspect of it, you're going to be in a much better place. So those are my thoughts there. I hope that's helpful. I am happy to answer any questions that you guys might have if you join my locals. Now, locals, again, you get the special deal because that's the one I'm looking for. Hang on. Because I am still sick. I am still symptomatic for COVID, which means this promo code is good for one more day, but it might not be good tomorrow, okay? Because if I wake up healthy tomorrow and feeling good, the promo code's going to go away. So if you've been thinking about joining my locals, now is the very best time to do it. You can get a free month by going to kb.locals.com and using the promo code COVID. You can see it's only for the monthly option. The link that's pinned to the top of YouTube should be able to take you there, but if not, just put COVID in. You're going to get a free month. And when you get a free month in locals, you're going to be able to join our community Zoom calls. You can join us tomorrow at noon. You can join us on Monday at 7. You can post in the community. You can take advantage, all that good stuff. But the most important thing is just to join, just to get started. You're going to meet some of the best people in the world. My local, we help each other out all the time. Guys, we've helped each other out reviewing each other's resumes. We've helped each other out on salary negotiations. We've helped each other out with helpful sage advice, just like we talked about today. And it doesn't just come from me. It comes from all the other members and locals, which is the best. Oh, Tiggs. Oh, no. Tiggs said I used the code and it charged me. Well, I appreciate that. Now, what might have happened is so you have to make sure the code actually goes through. So some people, they put the code in and then they click give monthly. So you got to make sure you apply it and you get this little message that comes up. So I apologize that it charged you, but it's only $5. It's not going to break the bank or anything. Breaking the Flaw said, I was just at the State House live streaming. Did anything interesting happen at the State House? Is anything going on today? I don't know. But guys, I'm greatly looking forward to meeting some of you in my locals community. And I hope I'll be able to have a chat with you tomorrow at noon. Now, as a reminder, we got a couple more live streams coming up today. Tonight, not coming up today, but tonight at 9:30, we have Joshua and I will be back in about 3 hours. We have a 3-hour break. I've got 3 hours to finish this flipping website that I've been working on. 3-hour break, and then we're coming back. We're going to do news and psychics. Guys, if you have a question that you would like to Joshua to psychic, make sure you comment on the post in locals. Joshua's going to pick one question at random that comes from locals because we've got to do super chats. Time is money, but we're going to pick one question at random from locals based on the post that I posted earlier today. And Joshua's going to psychic your question. You don't even have to do a super chat, so make sure you post there. And then, of course, I will be back tomorrow. Bing, there we go. For my regular live at 5 stream. I don't know what I'll be talking about tomorrow because tomorrow hasn't happened yet. But if you check back in the early afternoon, I will be updating the image that's on the stream so you can see what we're going to be talking about. And I'm going to be streaming every day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on this channel. And then on Fridays, we go over to my second channel at 5 p.m. for a happy hour, which my second channel is actively unwoke. You can find it in the description below. Guys, that's all I have for today. I'm about to lose my voice. So I got to go get a cup of tea. I got to regain it because we got some psychicing to do in about 3 hours. So I will see you guys then. Have a great rest of your day. And I'll see some of you at 9:30 tonight for Nothing Remotely Controversial. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.